5 contracts this week, 5 states, and every single one of them want the same thing: social media and digital media expertise. The headline dollar figure belongs to the state of California for a $40,000 contract for social media services. But if you are not watching what agencies are putting out to bid, you're guessing. Welcome to This Week in Procurement. I'm Abby Souffrant, state and local government contracting strategist and founder of A&L Business Solutions. Every week, my team pulls a national data set of SLED opportunities, state, local, and education contracts, and I give you the 5 you actually need to pay attention to. That is what this show is, so let's get into this week's episode. Every contract on the board this week is a social or digital media contract. No exceptions. That's the clearest signal we've had in a few weeks. Now, this isn't one agency catching up on 2019. This is a market-wide move to formalize digital communication as a paid structured service. Now, their anchor contract is coming out of the state of California, but the real story is actually in Hawaii for a formal RFI related to social media services. Now, this is squarely your lane if you do social media strategy, content production, or PR, full stop. Agencies across the nation are seeking tourism boards, and they're asking for all the same core skill set: strategy, content, community management, analytics, and compliance with their brand voice. Now, that is not a coincidence. That is a category maturing. So don't sleep on getting your capability statements sharp right now, because this pattern says more of these are coming. Let's get into the top 5 contracts this week. Our first contract is out of the state of Hawaii, and this is an RFI for social media specialist services. Now, this, again, is an RFI, a request for information. They want a specialist to run strategy, content creation, platform management, and compliance monitoring under specific messaging guides. It's a 1-year term and it's off-site. The right vendor here is someone who is comfortable working inside of very strict brand and compliance rules, not just creative freedom. Responding to the RFI now positions you ahead of the formal RFP. Now, here's our lesson for this type of contract. An RFI is not a contract. It is an invitation to shape one. Agencies use RFIs to gauge the vendor pool and sometimes to sharpen the scope before they write the real solicitation. Respond to these even when there's no dollar figure attached. Showing up early is how you end up referenced, directly or indirectly, in the requirements that follow. Now, that is your open door before anyone else knows the doors exist. Now, not to toot our horn, but absolutely to toot our horn, that is our specialty. At A&L Business Solutions, we are all about signals and strategy. And so we have a program, our MMIB, where we deliver RFIs as well as RFPs as well as strategy to your inbox every week. If you're interested in that service to save you time, money, and a headache, our services are linked below in the comments, so make sure you check that out. Our next contract is coming out of the state of Georgia for social media marketing and content creation services. This agency wants 18 posts a month, mandatory monthly travel for on-site content capture, and full funnel management strategy, paid social, community management, and reporting. This contract is like a dream come true. This is built for a boutique agency that runs a content pipeline, not a solo creator. If you can staff a monthly shoot day and hand back real KPIs, you are the right vendor. Your lesson for this type of contract: anytime you see mandatory travel that's written inside a social media scope, treat it as a filter and not a burden. It knocks out remote-only shops and freelancers who can't commit to a recurring on-site cadence, which means less competition for anyone with local presence or willing to build it. Don't sleep on contracts that ask more of you up front. They usually pay you back in fewer bidders. The third contract this week is coming out of the state of Virginia for communications, digital content, and social media services. Now, a nonprofit foundation needs a vendor to run their social media platforms, build graphics and videos in Canva. They also want you to maintain their website and manage a shared communication inbox. This is a lighter lift than the Georgia contract, but broader in retrospect to the touch points. Website plus inbox plus content. The right vendor here is a lean digital agency or a strong solo operator who's comfortable wearing multiple hats. Your pipeline lesson: nonprofits and foundation RFPs get overlooked because vendors assume the budget is small. Some are, but the relationship is the point. Foundations renew vendors they trust for years, and the scope tends to grow once you are inside. Treat these as long game accounts, not one-off gigs. And I said something very, very important. I said nonprofit and foundation organizations. Those are different agencies who put out RFPs. But you would know that if you are in our community. Don't worry, I have the link below for you. Our fourth contract is coming out of the state of California for public relations and social media services. This one pairs PR with social media outreach plus platform management across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X, with a destination marketing angle. That sounds very intriguing. The right vendor is a PR firm with social chops or a social agency that can genuinely handle media relations, not just captions, and that is not shade. That combination is rarer than it sounds, which works in your favor if you actually have both. Now, your pipeline lesson is that when an RFP blends two disciplines, PR and social, most applicants will be strong in one and weak in the other. Lead your proposal with the proof of your discipline you're weaker in. Agencies remember whoever addressed the gap first. And our last contract for this week is coming out of the state of New York for video production and social media content partner services. Now, this is the most production-heavy contract of all 5 contracts. They're looking for educational videos, behind-the-scenes content, short-form vertical for LinkedIn and Instagram, plus turning real incident footage into storytelling content, all managed inside of HubSpot. They really have laid this contract out for y'all. Like, I might even apply, but I won't, because that's how you get caught up. Now, the right vendor is a video production house that also understands lead qualification, since part of the job is flagging sales-ready engagement to the internal team. And this is not a part of our script, but I definitely want to shout out my production team, Herbly Productions, because they are ones that are definitely qualified to handle this type of contract. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. Our pipeline for this contract is that you need to watch for contracts where content creation is tied directly to the sales pipeline, not just to brand awareness. That's a signal that agency measures that this vendor's relationship on revenue and not vanity metrics, which means it pays better over time and it can renew for longer periods of time. That is the kind of scope you can build a case study around. This week's concept, the RFI, is a head start. 4 out of the 5 contracts are straight RFPs. You either bid or you don't. But Hawaii is an RFI, and that's a different game entirely. Most of you vendors out there actually skip the RFIs because there's no dollar figure allotted to it, and there's no guarantee of the actual contract. Yes, it is a risk, but everything we do in business has some form of risk. And that's exactly why you shouldn't. An RFI is the agency thinking out loud. They're testing the scope, testing vendor availability, testing whether their budget assumptions are realistic. Vendors who actually respond thoughtfully, not just a yes, we can do this, but with real capability in detail, often shape the requirements that show up in the eventual RFP. Now, you're not bidding on the contract just yet. You're bidding on being remembered when the real one actually drops. And if you ever skipped an RFI because it's not a real contract, that's the habit you need to break this week. And I want you to go find an RFI in your category and respond to it before Friday. That is your homework. You're watching 5 solid opportunities go by every week and still not sure of which ones are actually worth your team's time. And that is a major gap for you. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. This week's offer is the pipeline calibration, which is a one-on-one working session between my team and your team, where we look at your actual capacity and match it against real opportunities, not hypotheticals. And definitely not the screenshots that they put out on social media. You get 3 things out of this: a review of your current pipeline against contracts like the ones that we talked about on the show, a go and no-go framework so you can stop chasing the wrong RFPs, and a 90-day target list that's built specifically for your business. And then our bonus, our quarterly SLED report. Every quarter, we publish a quarterly report that talks about the signals and the strategies and the strengths of specific industries in the previous quarter, so you know where these agencies are spending their money and what's most important to them. Now, the link is in the description and pinned in the comment as well below. I want you to book it when you're ready, if you're ready. But don't sleep on your own pipeline. That's a waste of time. Your pipeline is a funnel and an engine for what's coming for you to scale. The information for us is below in the comments. That's it for this week in Procurement. I'm Abby Souffrant. Now remember, opportunities are everywhere, and I'll catch you next week.